There have been several times that I find myself on the other side of the argument because of the perspective I hold. Very simply, I would like to make you understand about the half glass full and half glass empty concept. I say the glass is half full, and they say the glass is half empty. And it has dawned to me that how perspective changes the life and thinking of people. While speaking about perspective, when asked to people, they all say we got a great perspective or we got a positive perspective. But what I believe is that there is a difference in saying and doing. The real test comes in when we face the situation, and it's only the strong minded people with a positive perspective who are able to find a way out quickly, while others sunk, cry, and complain. Before we actually proceed, I would like to ask you guys, what do you think is perspective? And before I put this point of perspective, I would like to ask, what makes a bad day bad and a good day good? Well, the obvious answer is what happens to you. The real answer is it all comes down to perspective. You have to understand that the universe doesn't happen to you. The universe doesn't happen for you. It just happens. And the way we receive it determines so much about the reality, our reality, and how we like to face the reality. We have to realize that it's us who holds the power to either overcome the situation or be overcome by the situation. It's us who determines if we grow the things around us or if the things around us come in our path of growth. With all this experience in my life, I I came across one of the great saying of Dalai Lama, and it says that I find hope in the darkest days and focused on the brightest. I don't judge the universe. That's Dalai Lama saying those beautiful lines. Truly pure and amazing. And basis on the basis of these lines, I have come across perspective for life and perspective for task. Now, these are the two perspectives that I hold, not only I, but I believe that everyone should hold while living this life that we have in this world, in this earth, I would say. The first perspective is perspective for life. I would say it's like two sides of a same coin. But now, coming back to the question, what is perspective? Perspective, it's what affects how we see the world, our values, and the ethics. Perspective, it can be used as a tool that pushes us forward or a burden that sets us back. Recently, I was dealing with something these days that has knocked me off my feet a bit. One of those unfortunate events that has set me back, especially when I have been working hard for it, and it has been my driving and motivating force. Well, it's just not me, and it's just not about me. I'm quite sure everyone has to deal with things they don't want to deal, and no one has a smooth sailing all the time. Things don't go as planned. So I was angry and disappointed, sitting and analyzing about the situation, how it would be so detrimental and how it would impact the things around me. I kind of felt defeated and disheartened. It went on for some days, and when you are in a sorry position, things change around you. You become less receptive or more ignorant. You start taking things for granted or start ignoring things. And after a couple of days, I realized that the more I thought about it, the more I was wasting my time. Because practically what happened had happened, and there is no way that I can change it. But what I had control over is the way I internalize the situation, is my perspective. Do I want to see the situation as good or bad? Like I said, the half glass empty or the half glass full concept. So I began thinking about how I can make this unfortunate situation, how can I make the use of it, and or either I can suffer from it or I can benefit from it and make it an advantage. I learned one positive thing about setback. Setbacks are not the problems and difficulties that we face in our life. These are opportunities to step back and reapproach the challenge that you are facing. But this time, reapproach in a better and a stronger way. Reapproach to come back better than before. It is the way to tell the universe that you are ready. And if the world wants to keep throwing problems at you, you are ready and you would just keep fighting ways to be better. That's the perspective that I have for life. That's the perspective I would like you guys to have for life. There are some rules about perspective of life. These are very simple, easy rules. And I will discuss the important ones with you. Climb mountains not so the world to see, but so that you can see the world. That's the perspective that you need to have. That if you would like to climb the mountain, you don't want it because you want the world to see you, but you want it because you want the world, you want to see the world. You learn from your failure and not success. Don't let the failure stop you, because failure builds character. So I was just going through the failure and success ratios that I had, and apart from anything humble, I don't find out success has taught me. And when I look at failure has taught me to be hard work. Failure has taught me to be disciplined. It has taught me teamwork and never give up. It has taught me to learn and teach myself. It has taught me to change my perspective. And definitely, failure builds character. So tomorrow, if you're having a bad and a rough day, don't tell them that you're having a bad day. Tell them you're having a character building day. And that's how you will face the problems and challenges. The person that you will be spending the most time with in your life is yourself. So make sure you make yourself as interesting as possible. You have to understand that in this entire time span, you have not spent more time with anybody apart from yourself. And in your perspective, it is you who needs to be the most important and the interesting person. Because your perspective matters to you. Because it's your perspective that will guide you for your goal. And every time you have a good perspective for yourself, you are exceeding. You are being successful. If you accept your limitations, you go beyond them. I know people, I have seen people and I'm around people for whom limitations is just a word in a dictionary. They don't understand limitations because for them limitations is like a fear. And they believe that every good thing, all the good things are on the other side of the fear. So they keep on trying and pushing themselves harder and harder. If you talk about limitations, then would you believe that the greatest mind on the earth, Mr. Albert Einstein, he just used 10% of his active brain. That's not his limitation, I would say. That's the greatest achievement that any person has achieved. But if we talk about you and me, we hardly use 2% of our brain, and that's how we limit ourselves. But if starting today, if we start believing that limitations are just the mere words in our mind, and we start pushing ourselves forward, then success, it will be our only option. Everyone you meet loves something, is afraid of something, and has lost something. Now this line has made me understand that every perspective of every person is important, and I am no one to judge them. I am no one to say that your perspective is wrong and what I say is right. In fact, it has actually changed my perspective into believing that what they say can be right, and I have to be in their shoes to understand it. Comfort is the enemy of achievement. Yes, that is true. Comfort is the enemy of the achievement. The day you become comfortable, you become lazy. You start taking things for granted. You start ignoring your responsibilities. So never ever get comfortable, because comfort is the enemy of achievement. It's better you adapt yourself to the situations rather than become comfortable to the situations. Because if you get comfortable, if tomorrow the situation changes, then you will not change. But however, if you adapt to the situations and if the situation changes, you have the ability to adapt again. You will adapt again. Keep working on yourself and never get comfortable. Now I would like to speak about the perspective for task. Very important thing, I would say. What is the what does come in your mind? What comes in your mind when someone says, I have a task to do? I have a task to do, or this is the task that you have to do. What is your perspective then? Well, look at the task as simple pieces of a puzzle, and I break the task into small pieces, and I make sure that every piece is done in the best possible way. These are the lines that I would be quoting from the famous interview of Will Smith. Somebody asked him, how do you look at the task? And he said, for me, a task is like a building a wall. And each task should be as simple as laying a brick. We shouldn't go out there and say, I'm gonna build the biggest, greatest, and the baddest wall. But it should be more like, I will lay one brick in the most nicest and the perfect way that it could be laid, and there shall not be any brick more perfectly laid than this. And you do that every single day, and soon you have a wall. That's what Mr. Will says, and he's absolutely right. That's how we need to look at the task, one brick at a time, and one day we will have a wall. Henry Ford, the famous mechanic who made the Ford industry, says, he who says he can and he who says he can't are usually both right. Well, that's another viewpoint, I would say. Changing your perspective is the most important thing. And in order to change your perspective, we have to understand 4 factors. Focus on your lessons, not the issues. Remind yourself that positive attracts positive. Take some distance with any source of negativity, and reward yourself every day. So the first rule, focus on the lessons and not issues. We have to understand that all the decisions that we made in our life lead us to circumstances and situations. The situations that can be good or bad. And every decision is a turning point in our life, and the circumstances we face are the aftermath of it. And over the time I have realized that all the decisions have a risk factor attached to it. However, I consider no decision is the right or a wrong one. If you win, you will be happy. If you lose, you will be wise. And then one day when we sit and analyze the impact of the decisions in our life, I would like you to look for the lessons that they taught, and not for the issues where it went wrong. Because understanding the lessons gives us an inner self of confidence. It awakens our subconscious mind. It makes us differentiate the right from the wrong, and in doing all this, we are in continuous process of evaluating and evolving our perspective. Rule number 2. Remind yourself that positive attracts positive. It's very easy to keep a negative attitude to any situation, be it a positive situation or a negative situation. But it's very difficult to always strive for a positive attitude in a negative situation. And it's in our hand what perspective we wear today. Either I can wake up, crib about going to the office and having the same monotonous routine, or we can be excited about facing a new challenge and being better than yesterday. And just by having a positive approach towards my life, positive approach towards the work, positive approach towards the day, I will be vibrating positive vibes, the good vibes, and everybody these days like good vibes. And when you have good vibes, you attract positivity. You attract positive people that will only support you, that will only help you grow. Rule number 3, take distance from any source of negativity. Well, we all understand that the drunk driving kills because there are accidents. And well, the driving can only kill when you are driving the vehicle. But in life, it's the negativity that kills. Because it's not you who is driving it, it's the negativity that's driving you. And trust me, negativity has a long and fast impact on your perspective. It has the power to change it for the worse. So whosoever is toxic in your life or seems to slow you down, you need to put a cross on them. You don't have the time or the space to keep them. You don't need the toxic situations in your life. And you don't need anybody to tell you what's right and what's wrong. Listen to your perspective, listen to your heart, and you will have the great perspective. And it's only when you decide to change your emotions and your perspective, you don't want any more space for negativity. You don't have any more space left for negativity. Always reward yourself. Always. That's the last point. In doing all these things of keeping ourselves positive, focusing on the wrong focusing on the right lessons, taking a distance from the source of negativity, we forget to reward ourselves. And that's the most important, because without motivation nothing happens. So if you really want to do something, then for the first thing I would say is to reward yourself for every positive approach that you have in your life. Give yourself a clap or a tap on your shoulder. Say yourself you did a good job today. While I believe it's important to shift your thought, it's twice important to reward yourself for it. It's not easy to accept and to embrace a change of thoughts and of perspective. Realize that you are doing Realize that what you are doing is sign that you are taking good initiatives into becoming a better person. And not everybody does that. The world would be a better place if they did. Keep yourself motivated whatever it takes, because there are two sides of the coin. What side you choose will make your day.